Hi, last night I went to the cinema and watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, the 4023rd and latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It follows on from the previous Spider-Man films, with Peter Parker having been forgotten by all his old friends. They've forgotten his old identity. And so he's working under the radar, devoting himself entirely to being Spider-Man and becoming once again a hero to the city of New York. But as the years pass, and his old friends Ned and MJ graduate from MIT and return to New York, a new threat has appeared, someone who appears to be able to remotely control people. And Peter is forced to team up with his frenemy Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, seek help from Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, in defeating this terrifying new enemy. I won't go into the plot in any more detail for the avoidance of spoilers, but in general, I found this to be a step down from the previous three films. I've enjoyed those a great deal, and they had a lightness and a colour that felt very energetic. This is more dour, a little gloomier, and much more muted in terms of its colour palette. It feels bleached down rather. There's lots of scenes of Spider Man in his blue and red outfit in very grey, very dark, washed out, bleached out, glum looking environments. And it makes the film, it saps the film of energy. Um, and the lightness, I think, of the previous films has gone as well. We have a change in director of John Watts, being replaced by Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi extremely well. That was, again, a light and colourful film. This one is deliberately going against that, and I think it's to its detriment. It's trying to show Peter maturing as he's going through some kind of physical change. However, that character arc of his own doesn't really tie into the overall story. It doesn't tie into the villain's agenda or abilities really at anything other than the thinnest thematic level. You have to strain to see a connection. Um, it's it's a hard one to talk about, not just because I'm avoiding spoilers, but just because there isn't a great deal there. I felt that by virtue of having to include the Punisher, they've watered the character down quite a bit. So there is a moment where he's about to use the F word and doesn't. He does swear all the way through, but it's milder dialogue. He doesn't torture anybody. It's all much softened, but softened only to an extent to which an adolescent would find dark and gritty. This is very much the Torchwood version of Spider-Man. It's entertaining enough. It never gets too dark or too gloomy. It doesn't become hard to take in its tone, and unlike recent episodes of Star Trek, which are just going full bore horror and wondering why people aren't watching it anymore. Um, it's fine. It will be a gigantic success. I was particularly startled that having found one of very few screenings that weren't sold out on opening night, about half the seats in my screen were available, despite having been marked as sold out, which I found strange. Um, so I don't know if the cinema is just acting incompetently, or if maybe the right wing is telling the truth and they are secretly booking up all these seats so that the woke movies will really be massive successes. Obviously, that's not true, and there's some sort of glitch, or Cineworld just doesn't know what they're doing. And I think the last explanation is most likely. Time and time again, Cineworld have demonstrated that they really don't know how to run a business. But even so, I found it odd that there were so many seats available for what should have been a huge movie, so to the extent that I couldn't find a space in the car park. But it's fine. If you enjoyed the previous films, you'll probably enjoy this. It's not a film that merits great examination in terms of depth and complexity. It does lay out the next phase of Marvel and suggests where things are going to go next. Although I didn't feel like it really tied in with Doomsday at all, so it doesn't feel like we're building at all over the course of these movies. We're just adding in new things with narrative threads that just tail off to nothing. Earlier this week, we had the news that Mahershala Ali has resigned from the long gestating Blade reboot after 5 or 6 years since he was announced as the new lead actor. They've been through numerous writers and directors, made absolutely no progress, and he's finally got fed up. Meanwhile, they've announced that they're making a new Ghost Rider film, so they've figured out how to do a film about a motorcycle skeleton who's made a deal with the devil, but not a guy who goes around killing vampires. Disappointing. And I found Brand New Day, again, a little disappointing in its own way. Fine, but it's just a fine.